Hello and welcome. I'm BluenoseLJ. Yesterday, Everton played the last of our preseason friendlies before the start of the season next weekend, beating Preston North End 2-0 at Goodison Park. So I thought I would just do a quick video looking at the main points of the game and giving a player rating for each player that played yesterday. Now, obviously, a lot of the players that played are not going to be in the starting 11 come next weekend. We're still waiting for Rodriguez and Decore to be announced as Everton players, and obviously we have Alan as well. There were a lot of players away on international duty, but I have to say I was really impressed with some of the youngsters that came in yesterday. Without being too fantastic yesterday, we were solid. Some of the play was quite good. It was quite fast from back to front. So it was a solid performance all in all. And I have to say that a lot of that was the younger players. They came in and they really did perform. So I was really impressed with some of the younger players yesterday, especially. Let's start with Harry Tyrer in goal. 18-year-old lad comes in, makes his debut for Everton. I know it's a friendly, but he made some good saves, including almost a point-blank header. His distribution was good. He looked confident. Clean sheet on your Everton debut when you're 18 years old. I thought he had a really, really good game, and I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. And he was actually really unlucky, I would say, not to be given the man of the match award from me anyway. I thought I was really, really impressed with Harry Tyrer. Maybe one to watch for the future. John Joe Kenny, I'm going to give a 6 out of 10 for John Joe. He did score a goal and he looked okay on the right-hand side without being too fantastic. Moved into the centre back when Holgate was taken off. Probably a little bit uncomfortable there, not his natural position. I think the jury is out on John Joe Kenny, whether he is going to be the long-term replacement for Seamus Coleman, but we shall see. Niles Nkounkou, again, he was really comfortable. He looked solid in defence. Going forward, he looked really good. His passing is pretty decent. He can cross a ball. He's 19 years old. He's obviously our first signing of the summer. He's going to be the backup to Lucas Dean next season as the left back, and I think that we could be pretty confident that if he is called on, he will do a decent job. I gave him an 8 out of 10, and I gave him the man of the match award. I thought he had a really good game. Mason Holgate didn't play too much of the game because obviously he went off injured, which hopefully is nothing too major. I understand it's something to do with his toe. He looked okay. You know, he's going to be our main centre back next season. There's no question about that. So let's hope that the injury is nothing too major. I gave him a 6 out of 10 anyway. Lewis Gibson, a solid performance. A long way from being the finished article, of course, but looks a decent player, and only time is going to tell whether he can push on and push for a place in the starting 11, or at least to get into the first team squad. He's a decent prospect, I think. I gave him a 7 out of 10. It was a decent, solid performance from him. Kyle John, who came on, never heard of him before. Apparently in the under-18s team. He came on when Holgate went off and went to right back instead of John Joe Kenny. And again, he had a solid performance. He looked really good going forward. Doesn't look out of place. the confidence of the younger players, you could see it, that they just didn't seem phased by the the whole thing. It was a debut for 18-year-old lads who come in. I don't think maybe he was expecting to play as long as he did, but really, really good performance, solid, especially going forward. So yeah, 7 out of 10 from me. Bernard played in the center of midfield. Um, okay, I gave Bernard a 7 out of 10. He Some of the touches that Bernard does, and this is something that I've said about Bernard many, many times, is when he's on the ball, some of the touches that he does are magical. To be fair, his passing is some of the passes he did yesterday were awesome. Set us up quite a few times, but for me, he goes missing for large parts of the game, and his name doesn't get mentioned for whole sections of games. So, although I gave him a 7, and he will be here next season, I don't think there's much chance of him leaving in this transfer window. Um, he is going to be a bit part player next season, in my personal opinion. Uh, Sigurdsson. Um, yeah, I don't really know what to say about Sigurdsson. It just he does what he has to do, and that's it. It's nothing more. He doesn't do anything spectacular. There's no going above and beyond. It's probably just enough, and that's not what we want. That's not the level that we should be looking at. I gave him a 6 out of 10. He was captain. He had a perfect opportunity yesterday to show himself a little bit more than he did, and I don't think that he took that opportunity at all. He's not going to be a regular starter next season. I don't think that he's leaving. I don't think that he will leave, especially not in this transfer window anyway. Maybe in the winter transfer window, but he's going to be here next season. But he is going to be a bit part player as well. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed by Sigurdsson, to be honest. I think he could have done a lot more. Walcott, again, I think that Walcott is an okay player. I don't think he is a terrible player. Um, he is a Premier League player. I just don't think that he's the top end of the Premier League. He isn't going to eventually be the kind of player that the level that we require. Again, I think that he will be here next season or the season coming, but that's probably going to be his last season at Everton. I think. I gave him a 6 out of 10. He again, he does what he does without being too fantastic. Richarlison, he had a solid game. You can always call on Richarlison to do something magical. He set up the Balassi for the miss of the season. Looked decent. You know that Richarlison is going to be starting most games next year. So I gave him a 7 out of 10. He did enough yesterday just to, cause trouble, but without being too flamboyant with it, I don't think. Went down quite a few times yesterday as well. I noticed there were a number of challenges where he probably went down a little bit too easy. But, that's Richarlison. Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored a goal. Again, had a decent game without being too fantastic. It was a solid game. Had a few chances. Obviously, got his goal. Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin are going to be our starting two next up front next season. I would say, possibly alongside James Rodriguez. I think that when you start putting in the Gomez and the Decore and the Allen next season, and Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin are going to thrive on that kind of those types of players behind them. I think without the Davis and the Sigurdsson, I'm really hopeful next season that both Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin will get to 15 goals each in the Premier League. They both got 15 goals in all competitions last season, but I hope that we can get 30 goals out of them at least in the Premier League. So I think there's a really good chance with that. And then James Rodriguez hopefully will chip in with a few as well. Balassi, I gave him a 6. He came on. He looked strong. Made a few runs. The miss was incredible. And I think that that's going to haunt him for a long time. Especially as he kind of sat down moping about it, which actually stopped Sims from scoring a goal, getting his first goal. Again, if somebody comes in for Balassi, I think he will go. If not, he will play the odd game next season. And he will do enough, but I don't think that he's not at the level that we want in order to get, top. He's certainly not top 4 level. Top 6 it's not enough, I don't think. But 6 out of 10 anyway. Sims, when he came on, I gave him a 6 out of 10. Made a nuisance of himself up front. I'd actually like to see him get a little bit longer and see whether he has the ability to play a 90 minutes or 75 minutes first team level rather than coming on. Maybe we would have done that had we had maybe 3 or 4 games. Sims would have got a bit longer. Probably next season, when we have the preseason next year. 6 out of 10 anyway. Beningame, 5 out of 10. Didn't really do anything too major when he came on. Wasn't on for too long. So we also Adornarin, I don't know how to say his name. 5 out of 10. He was only on for a couple of minutes. But yeah, all in all, I thought it was a solid performance, a decent game. Really, really impressed with the youngsters that came in. Probably, I think that they made a better impression than some of our squad players. The Sigurdssons, the Walcotts. I think that these youngsters are obviously they're not going to be around the first team next season, but in the coming years, there's a few players there that may push through and come into the squad. We shall see. So yeah, that's it. It was a solid performance, a decent victory, 2-0 without being tested too much. The goalkeeper made the saves when he needed to. So yeah, that's it for this video. Please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you on my next video.